Yo, that colored cover page. Yo, the Dark Triad, Tabata. Tabata went really dark. I think that's hands down is the darkest colored page of the entirety of Black Clover. Probably one of the darkest pages in general. Like a bloody massacre of a page. Just looking at it, you got Zenon, Dante, and Vonica, and they're literally there missing limbs. One of the things that I caught, to be honest with you, immediately, I know we're jumping straight into analysis, but it seems as though they're making like a triangle with their missing limbs, like in between the three of them. So I don't know if that's symbolic of what's going on with the Tree of Qliphotht, or however the heck you pronounce that, whatnot, but very dark. And who knows, maybe that's foreshadowing of, in the end, they're going to all be sacrificed to this big tree situation in order to bring forth demons and blow open the demon world. Because yeah, that was just like really dark. I still can't even believe Black Clover went there with that, but my gosh, hey, at the very least we got to see a little bit of that Vonica fan service. People, this chapter, Jack the Ripper going in, we got Noct, we got Jack the Ripper's backstory with his pops, we got a few things to talk about in this chapter alongside the battle, of course, against Dante. I'm not gonna waste your time, people. Without further ado, let's jump into a little bit of that Black Clover greatness. Let's do it, lads. Don't know why I'm talking with a British accent, but YOLO, mate. Make your move. That's how it be, though. Chapter immediately kicks off with Jack the Ripper, and to be honest with you, it's a Jack the Ripper centric chapter. I'm not the biggest Jack the Ripper fan. I like certain aspects of him. I think he's really cool. Reminds me of like a Zaraki Kenpachi, just, you know, action-packed, loving guy. With his backstory, it changes things a little bit of the way I look at Jack the Ripper. Not in particularly in a bad way, but it does change my perspective on him, because now we see a little bit more of why he's so like, oh, I'm gonna cut you all up and shit. But he starts off charging Dante with Death Scythe, Lunatic Slash, and yeah, it seems as though Dante, you know, even though he took that L massively against Asta and Yami, he is back up and stronger than ever. He's able to regenerate now due to Morris's upgrade, so he's not a weakling anymore. And honestly, you know, a doctor doing a little science on him, giving him an upgrade, kind of reminds me of like a Shigaraki. And he says, yeah, nothing but anti-magic is able to hurt me right now. So it seems as though Dante, he got stronger since the last bout. I mean, granted, it's not in his own merit, but then again, none of the Triad really are running off their own merit. They're using, you know, devil powers that they got in bad terms and shit. So yeah, it is what it is. They're evil, mate. But it is interesting that Noct, the entire battle, is thinking like, yo, I need Jack the Ripper to do this. If it ain't Jack, then we're not going to be able to win. I can't defeat Dante on my own. And also, there's still a plausible way, to be honest with you, of my Noct theory working, because just thinking about it for a second, wait a minute. So Noct is in front of Dante. Dante is acting like he don't know Noct. So the only way that it would still be technically plausible of like, oh yeah, no, he's working with them, is if Noct, that's not actually how Noct looks, and somehow, some way, he's able to disguise the way he looks, whether it's using his shadow magic or something, and maybe he's running around with a body that's not actually his. And also, it would make sense, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this battle, because I don't think this battle is over at the end of the chapter, Jack the Ripper discovers his identity. Because remember, it was Jack the Ripper that first said, hey, wasn't you look different, something along the lines of that he said, and we got that flashback of Noct and Yami. So maybe there could be a little bit of confusion there. But again, the only way now, to be honest with you, is, well, two ways, I guess, is unless Noct never showed himself to the Triad or Dante, or this isn't exactly how he really looks, or I guess a third way is maybe the demons or devils that Noct is controlling is actually controlling him, and they're the ones that communicate with the Triad. So those are the possible ways that Noct is still the bad guy, or he's not really working with any of them either, and he's strictly on his own mission of doing some really fucked up shit in the end. But yo, when Dante used his gravity magic and he had both of them fall to the ground, Noct and Jack, I ain't gonna lie, it just straight up reminded me of Conqueror's King Haki. Like, bow to the presence of the Demon King. I was like, yeah, that's like Conqueror's King Haki, you know, Luffy's technique where people fall down that are weaker than him. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna get influence from something, you know, it's one of the greatest stories, you know, why not? But we get a new transformation or a new technique from Noct. He's able to use this like armor, I believe it was called Sloto's Double Union, and it's like, it looks like a mixture of like, think of Capone's armor or castle shit. I don't know, it was really weird, but it was kind of cool to see, again, a different transformation, which Noct is pretty freaking talented and has some pretty different techniques, which again, I'm imagining that's due to like the devil powers, which if you think about it, it's kind of crazy that Noct is going into a battle, right? He's going up against the Triad, he's going up against Dante right now, and he left some of his devils behind to train with Asta and Leeb. So this dude is actually weaker than he could be, which again, his devils not being there could also be a reason why Dante is unable to recognize Noct. There could be something fishy going on there. Maybe I'm just desperately clinging on to my theory of Noct being the mastermind Aizen of this shit. But Noct starts talking crap, which I guess that's apparently the best thing that he got in his arsenal right now, to Jack the Ripper to kind of get him a little amped, because like he said, he needs him. His slashing is the only way they're going to be able to take Dante down, because he's like, yo, so what is your height and all that shit the only thing that you big for, fam? You big for nothing, huh? I guess if there was an award to give Noct in the Black Clover manga is numero uno shit talker. And I love when Dante attacked Noct and Noct's like, yo, do you mind? I'm talking to the captain right here. And he just like hits him away. Like, again, Noct is not able to take him down because he really just has like a defensive capability at the moment. And Dante is just, you know, he has this instant regen ability and all this other shit. But at the very least, he's still able to stand. So like, if they went at it, Noct, if it was just, you know, Noct versus Dante, I think the problem is that, like he said, he can't hit a critical blow to take him out, but I don't think Dante would be able to either. Like, that armor looks like it's really, really tough and very hard to penetrate. And then once Dante goes for the kill, that's where we jump into Jack's flashback. And to be honest with you, it's dope that we get a little bit of a flashback for Jack the Ripper. It wasn't the craziest in the world or anything like that, but to get a little more insight into him and not just him being like, oh, he's the crazy one that likes to cut people without any type of context to who he is or anything like that. Finding out a little bit of the backstory of his father, which from the side and the back view, it looks straight up just like Jack the Ripper was his father or whatever. He was his own dad. Futurama type of style. But essentially we see that he grew up, his father was actually a commoner and he was like a hunter, and he was training Jack to be a hunter someday, and it was one of the things that he taught him was, you know, always fight prey that was weaker than you, essentially, which kind of adds to a complex that Jack has. But then when he was 13 years old, his father was killed seemingly by a bear. It would be an interesting twist, and, you know, again, this is me throwing ideas out there. What if somebody that we know, let's just say, I don't know, Noct, because he seemingly knows everything about everybody, was responsible for the death of Jack's father? That'd be something interesting. But essentially, his father dying at the hands of a bear, he hunts down that bear and kills him, and decides no more to be hunting prey that is weaker than him and wants to fight things that are stronger. So that whole Zaraki Kenpachi, like, I don't care how big you are, I want to slash you up, is due to kind of this trauma, essentially, of him being young. So if you think about it, like, you know, I kind of take it back now, looking at it from that perspective. Jack is actually a deeper character. It's not the most grandiose flashback story or whatever, but him losing his father is what changed his viewpoint on life and made him feel like, no, I don't care how big they are or whatever, I'm still gonna take them down. But Jack on the floor starts sharpening his blades on his back, and Dante with the recklessness. I don't know, you know, I just said I'd give Noct the shit talking award, but Dante saying about Yami, y'all know how Jack the Ripper gets when you try to say he's weaker or that Yami's better or anything like that. When he starts giving credits to Yami, he's like, yo, he didn't fall like this, I'm just saying he threw a good fight and shit. You know, Jack ain't taking that lightly. And then Jack proceeds to slash through gravity, and, you know, we get that extra dialogue of he only wants to fight strong people, which again, it's very sad if you think about it. It's all trauma related. And the ending, Jack sends a giant slash at Dante. You see Dante looks a little bit spooked. He looks a little bit scared there, which I'm imagining things might change up in the next chapter or something. That's just normally the way it is. Probably he caught him off guard, but I think there's a lot more to Dante now that he has this upgrade and shit. And even though he got slashed right here, I don't think it's completely the end for Dante. To be honest with you, I'd be a little bit disappointed if, you know, after that big battle with Yami and Asta and all the shit that they had to pull out of their hat, now Jack the Ripper comes on a 1v1 and takes him out. There needs to be a little more to it, in my opinion. And Jack throws in that line, don't mess with insects, because, you know, the whole thing of him being insect and, you know, him being a hunter. Again, it ties into his motif. I'm not that crazy about it. Like, oh my god, yeah, the insect king. Come on, Weevil Underwood, let's go. But it's still kind of cool, and it, again, all plays into his whole backstory and past. I mean, if you're going to give Jack a backstory, give it something, you know, actually meaningful. And I guess the message of it all is to not look down on somebody, because yeah, they could kick your ass. Overall, honestly, dope chapter, giving Jack some backstory, some context to his characterization. That was pretty dope. I don't think Dante is down per se. I'm very curious about Noct. Like, Noct is definitely strong, but there's an issue there of taking Dante down. Again, I think it's going to have to be a combo technique between the two, or somebody else is going to have to join the fray, because again, I'll be disappointed if Dante, after seemingly he got a buff now, you know, he healed up and he's rejuvenating quicker than ever, and then Jack the Ripper again. That would be like basically saying that Jack the Ripper is more capable than Yami and Asta using Leeb's power, the devil power, combined. And that just, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. And again, I don't think he's down. But I'm curious what you thought about this chapter. How did you feel about Jack the Ripper's backstory with his pops? Do you think it was good? Again, I like that it's a little deep, and it gives actual meaning and context to why Jack is the way he is. It's not just like he's crazy for the sake of crazy. He's crazy because he had a traumatic upbringing, you know, losing his father to a freaking bear, and it morphed the way he looks at things and made him feel like, I gotta strike everything bigger than me. If not, they'll strike me down. And your thoughts and expectations for the future of this battle and this manga with chapter 279 and beyond. Looking forward for this one wrapping up. I really want to get to Vonica. I ain't gonna lie. What's going on with my girl Vonica? I want to see it. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm from Netherworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life. Bye. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yeah, what's Vonica doing again? Have an awesome one. It's nights like this and times like this, what's that I can give another hit, but I've got this inside a switch, a natural bliss, but